Firefighters are calling on the federal government to come up with better safety and survival equipment for those on the front lines. As Susanna Frame from our sister station in Seattle reports, this is more important than ever as fire seasons are getting hotter, longer, and more dangerous.
Next month marks the 10-year anniversary of the deadliest wildfire in modern history, the Yarnell Fire in Arizona. A hotshot crew is desperate with flames closing in. As a last resort, they need to deploy their fire shelters, portable tent-like blankets designed to save your life when there's no other option.
We are preparing a deployment site, and I'll give you a call when we are under the shelters.
That was the last transmission from the team. 19 elite firefighters died that day on Yarnell. The fire shelters weren't able to save any of them. After that tragedy, the U.S. Forest Service, alongside scientists from NASA, spent 5 years trying to create a better shelter. They tested hundreds of different materials and combinations to try to make the design more survivable. But that didn't generate a better product. Firefighters across the country are still carrying this design from 2002. And that's a concern for some as climate change is creating larger, more intense wildfires here in the West.
Hi, I'm Jim Roth.
We traveled to Los Angeles to talk to engineer Jim Roth, a world-renowned fire shelter expert. He says the current shelter is woefully inadequate. The adhesive that holds it together starts breaking down at 500 degrees. But wildfires will burn at ground level at 2,000 degrees.
You ought to trust it to work every single time. And every kind of fuel type, this doesn't make it.
Jim Roth got interested in shelters after this fire in Colorado nearly 30 years ago. In 1994, 14 smoke jumpers working on Storm King Mountain got trapped by fire. They were carrying the original fire shelter design from the 1960s and deployed them in a last-ditch effort to save their lives. None of the 14 made it out. One of the fallen was a 29-year-old smoke jumper from Idaho, known for loving a good laugh, adventure, and people. His name was Roger Roth, the little brother of Jim Roth.
They asked for dental records.
He remembers the moment hearing the news looked dismal.
So, when you're asked to go to the local dentist and get all of his dental records, you know the news isn't going to be good. And here it is, almost 30 years later, but I feel it like it was yesterday.
Before this tragedy, Jim Roth was a full-time aeronautical engineer, but that abruptly changed. That's him in the field in the mid-90s. Just months after his brother's death, he started testing materials. Roth traveled the world gathering data with a completely altered life purpose, building a better shelter.
How did you come to that decision?
How did I come to that decision? I was very, very just angry, just really angry with how could he be taken away at such a young age. I just thought, okay, show me, what do you want? And that's when I realized I can do that.
And he did. Roth designed a shelter that, with direct flames, reached just 73 degrees inside. The Forest Service came up with a shelter that heats up to nearly 134 degrees inside, almost double. In 2002, with both versions on the table, government officials chose the government design.
It ended up being a political decision, and they went with the Forest Service fire shelter design, which is still inadequate. It's not made to handle these environments that we see in wildfires.
The Forest Service wouldn't conduct an interview, but in a statement said their shelter is lighter, easier to handle, and has a tougher outer shell, especially in windy conditions. The current shelter has saved lives. Since 2004, the Forest Service says 61 people have been saved, and shelters have prevented 114 injuries.
Yes, they've saved some lives. Yes, I'm not arguing that. But why are we not having the best?
Jason Ramos is a retired career smoke jumper from Winthrop.
Total crown fire.
This is video Ramos shot on the job. For years, he's advocated for better survival gear. In 2016, he even wrote a book, Smoke Jumper, that was critical of the current shelter's capabilities.
We want to be varsity. Why are you giving firefighters some JV gear? I love the United States, I love the fire service, but we are not where we should be.
Back to Jim Roth's work, he says in 2023, the shelter he developed in the 90s is out of date.
And you'd normally get into it.
New materials mean there's got to be a redesign, and he's committed to making it happen.
That's the only thing left in life that I have to do. And that's getting a fire shelter that's really going to save lives and work in every wildfire.